Hey guys, so as promised, here's my follow-up to tech blog number 200. This is going to be how to map out hybrid families using QFT or point notation. I've now done a number of run-throughs on this video, trying to include a brief overview of QFT, and the fact of the matter is that I just physically cannot do it, and the practical application of it inside of 15 minutes. So I'm going to ask you guys to do me a favor, and if you're not familiar with QFT, I've written up a blog entry that gives a pretty detailed description of the basics of it. It's at my homepage at drexfactor.com, and I will include a link to it in the description field of this video. So if you guys are totally lost and confused, go there first and rewatch this video, and the rest of it will make a whole lot more sense, I hope. So yeah, on with the show. QFT, another way of finding hybrid families. This way is a little bit more precise than the lines of code that we did in tech blog number 200, and I'll show you why. I've written out two patterns here in QFT, and let's go ahead and draw out what these patterns are so we know what we're working with here. QFT, for those of you who don't know, is a numeric system for writing down poi tricks that is a little bit more precise than some of the names that we come up with to describe them. And thus far it's proven to be really adaptable in terms of not only describing tricks, but also in terms of describing how tricks can flow into each other. So let's take this first trick right here. We're going to plot all these points right here. Those of you who know QFT know that we essentially are talking about movements that happen between two given points, and thus we have on a compass rose of 8 possible places where you can be in the circle, 8 lines of code then, right? So our first line of code tells us that the hand is oriented in direction 8, that is straight up from the body center, and the poi is oriented straight up at 8 from the hand, not from the body center, from the hand. It's just a coincidence that they turn out to be the same thing in this case. The direction of the poi's momentum, by following the right hand rule, tells us that it's going to be at a right angle from the direction of the poi in relation to the hand. So it's going to be going towards direction 6. Yeah? The next point that we take a look at is with the hand oriented from the center of the circle in direction 1, so up diagonally to the right. From there, the poi is oriented in direction 6, so it's across the body center, or across the center of the circle, and it's traveling towards point 4 in relation to itself, so straight down. Next, the hand is going to be out at 2, and the poi is going to be oriented straight down at 4 from the hand and heading towards point 2. Next, the hand is going to be down at point 3. The poi is oriented from it at point 2 and heading towards point 8. It's convenient as you're drawing these shapes out to actually kind of like draw yourself a little dotted line between the intercepts of the poi head, and that'll start to give you some idea of the path that you're operating on. Next, the hand is going to be oriented from the center of the circle at 4. The poi is going to be oriented from the hand at 8, so straight back up and really in the center of the circle that we're creating. And the poi is going to be headed towards point 6. Straight to the side. Next, we have the hand at orientation 5. So, we are going to then have the poi oriented from the hand at point 6, that is straight over here to our left-hand side, and it's going to be headed towards point 4. Next, the hand is oriented from the center of the circle at 6. The poi is straight down at 4, and it's headed towards point 2. Last, the hand is oriented at 7. From the hand, poi is oriented at 2 and is headed towards point 8. So, it's a little messy, but we can start to get a clue what this pattern is if we complete the dotted line right here. If that's too messy to decode, I'll just straight up draw where it is for y'all. It's a triquetra. The one variable we didn't talk about in here, of course, was the radius, which is just the radius of the hand path. Yes? Okay, so we've described ourselves a triquetra. That's what this block of code signifies. But what about this block of code right here? Well, let's go through it quick-like. We know that the hand radius is 1/2 now, so that tells us automatically that it's a unit circle pattern. And we have hand at 8, poi at 4, heading towards 2. We have hand at 1, poi towards 3, heading towards 1. We have hand at 2, poi also at 2, heading towards 8. We have hand at 3, poi at 1, poi heading towards 7. We have hand at 4, poi at 8, heading towards 6. We have hand at 5. We have poi at 7, heading towards 5. We have hand at 6, poi at 6, heading towards 4. We have hand at 7, poi at 5, heading towards 3. What is this pattern? This is a horizontal cat. Some things that help us distinguish these patterns when we just look at the numbers. If you guys are familiar with parametric equations, you'll know that triquetras are formed when the poi does 2 downbeats for every 1 downbeat that the hand does. And as you chart through the numbers for both the hand and the poi over here, you'll note the hand always goes up by 1, the poi always goes down by 2. That tells us that the poi is traveling twice as far for every increment that the hand is, and thus that it will complete 2 downbeats in the same amount of time it takes the hand to do 1 downbeat. It eventually gets to the point when you read enough lines of code that you start to see these patterns automatically. So if I were to just sit down with this, I could pretty much instantly tell you what it was. Likewise, with the horizontal cati, we once again have the numbers for the hand going up by 1 all the time. The numbers for the poi go down by 1 all the time. This tells us 2 things. Number 1, that they're going in opposite directions as opposed to each other. And number 2, that they're each executing a single beat in the same amount of time. Because we already know that it's a unit circle pattern, that pretty much tells us that it's going to be a cat eye. We have to draw up the pattern sometimes just to see if it's going to be a vertical or horizontal cat eye. But by and large, these patterns are simple enough to pick out that you can see them fairly easily. So how do we use these to find transitions in hybrid families? Well, some of you guys might have caught that there was a number series that got repeated between these 2 patterns. Namely, this block right here, 4, 8, 6, which appears at the end of the 4th block and the beginning of the 5th block for the triquetra. And likewise, appears at the end of the 4th block and beginning of the 5th block for the horizontal cati, right? What this tells us is that both of these patterns contain a moment at which the hand is pointed straight down from the circle, the poi is pointed straight up from the hand, and that the poi is heading straight to our left, right? And as we're doing the moves, we can map out that when you're doing the triquetra, it is this point right here as you're going across the bottom. And when you're doing a horizontal cati, it is this point right here when the poi head is going across the top. And what tells us then is if we change the radius of the hand path right at that very moment, we can switch between doing the triquetra and doing the horizontal cat-eye. And that this will be a pretty seamless shift. As you play more around with these transitions, a lot of times it actually turns out that the only necessities are that the poi orientation from the hand and the direction that the poi is traveling in are the most essential things you need to know in order to map out these transitions. But this is a really easy one that's easy to spot. One of the things we can do if we want to map out this transition and we don't want to include all this code is one of the things that I didn't mention in my blog entry on QFT was the use of classes. And a class is essentially saying that I'm going to take all this code and I'm going to call it together a triquetra. This is analogous to what programmers do when they put together classes of code. There are certain lines of code that they use so frequently that they just bundle it all together, right? I'm going to create a class for a triquetra and a class for a horizontal cat-eye. I can call these anything I want, just so long as people know what I'm defining movement as. In which case, I can write out these transitions as I'm going to take the triquetra from point 8, 8, 6, and my radius of 1. I'm going to define what my class is, and I'm going to tell you how far I'm going to take it. I'm going to execute 4 lines of code, so that's going to leave me at 4, 8, 6. Because I've defined what my class is, you can assume that these are all the blocks that have happened between these 2 points. Now I'm going to take point 4, 8, 6, and switch the size of the hand path and the class to horizontal cat-eye. And I'm going to take it all the way through to the end of its pattern at 8, 4, 2. So with 2 lines of code, I have described this transition right here. And the power of this idea is that these numbers make it such that it's universal. It's not reliant on language. It's not reliant upon regional differences in what we call tricks. It's universal. So I'm probably running out of time now. So I'm going to say, guys, thank you for watching and have yourselves a great weekend. Peace. Turns out I had 2 minutes left, so I'm going to use that to pimp this next cause. My next video is actually going to be a compilation of videos. I want you guys to send me your very, very favorite tech blogs. Tell me which one it was, and tell me why. If you can, post a video response to this video and let me know. And what I'll do is I'll edit them all together into kind of a highlights reel that I will post either as the next tech blog or the tech blog immediately after. Thank you guys once again. Peace.